My name is Teresa, and I'm recording this video to show the corruption with the Division of Youth and Family Services. Here's my story. Okay, when I was a kid, I was involved with the Division of Youth and Family Services. I was the only child out of my 4 siblings involved with the Division of Youth and Family Services. I was in a place that was provided from the Division of Youth and Family Services. I was in 125 foster homes, over 75 residentials. After being involved in many places like this, several times I was abused in these places, which led to multiple surgeries done on my knees. Every time we made a complaint to DIFUS, they didn't believe us. The place subsequently was shut down 10 years later after a kid was found dead in the place. Since then, when I turned 18, the division brought me to the bus stop, and basically I was on my own from there. I managed to get my life together, and I had my first daughter. After I had my first daughter, these 2 girls that were so-called my friends, right after I brought my daughter home, they used tactics when I refused to give them drug money. They called DIFUS, and even though all my allegations that anybody has ever made against me was unsubstantiated, they still had the case open. They told me because of my history with DIFUS, when I was a kid, I needed to undergo a psychological evaluation. When I did, the doctor only saw me for 5 minutes and declared me mentally unfit. So I disputed the report. After disputing the report, they put homemakers in, which the homemakers contradicted completely this evaluation done by him. During that time, I received a letter about approximately 9 months later, in June, that my case would be closed. Within 2 weeks, the DIFUS worker came out and said that she made a mistake. I was supposed to be provided a court date, which I was never provided a court date. I made several attempts to go to the office to request this court date that I was promised. I never got it. And still to this day, 5 years later, I still wait upon my court date. So after that, approximately about 8 months later, in April of 2005, just before I was having my second child, I get a phone call from the police department saying that I was missing with my daughter. However, when a police officer came to my house and the DIFUS worker followed, they were unable to provide the police officers with proof and documentation that my case was still open. Subsequently, the letter disappeared from my file and is no longer in my file, so nobody knows what I'm talking about, mysteriously or whatever. I have a copy of a letter I presented to the police department when they came to my house. After that, I had my daughter in June 11, 2005. Due to the hospital let my pressure go too high, I suffered a stroke. I was unable to talk for a period of time. I was unable to walk. However, I went through physical therapy, and now, as you can see, I'm able to talk, and I pretty much am able to walk. I just don't have all my strength back in my left side. They provided me with some assistance regarding like home people that came in and provided to help me with the children. After that, subsequently, I got pregnant with my 3rd child right soon after. I would say approximately 2 months later. I knew the risk, but however, I did not believe in abortion, so I would never abort my kid, and it's against my religion. During this time, the caseworker was adamant that I was homeless when I wasn't homeless, when in fact I went to go stay with my father in a smaller apartment that they so-called did not approve. She filed for an order to remove my kids. Subsequently, they were agreed that the judge granted it to them that they will remove my kids. They removed them. However, when we went to court, the judge did say that the apartment was sufficient enough. We went to court. The judge says that they are to look at my apartment. They never did. Caseworker, in fact, went to Africa and supposedly got a disease over there, you know, and that's why she couldn't investigate the apartment. However, a month later in May, it was court order again to look at the apartment, and this was set down for a fact-finding hearing, which, if people does not know, it's to see if allegations of abuse can be substantiated. Well, when we went there for the fact-finding hearing, the judge declared that at the fact-finding hearing there was no substantial evidence of abuse. During that time, the kids were subsequently returned to me. I did whatever that they had asked me to do, and the kids were returned to me. In September, actually in August, my kid's father died of the same year. During that time, it was very difficult for me because my children were still young, and I realized that I would probably have to raise my kids on my own. Subsequently, to make a long story short, after that, I went to the office. I was running around looking for apartments to move out, and just up all night, up all day. I wasn't able to take my medication for my seizure disorder. Subsequently, the caseworker forced me to come down to Jersey City after knowing that I had a seizure the night before, and I had a really bad seizure which put me on a ventilator at the DIFUS office. I had the seizure in the DIFUS office. Subsequently, while I was on a ventilator, they took away my children as I'm fighting for my life. After that, they took me off the ventilator. Was the next day. I was advised that they had taken my children away. After being advised that they had taken my children away, I did sign out of intensive care against medical advice. Stupid, but it's my kids, and you would understand that with DIFUS, I'm fighting for my life already. I feel like I have to fight for my kids now. I managed to get to the courthouse. I was in very, very bad shape, you know, and I will not deny that. However, the judge specifically told me that she would give me back my children because I'm not a bad person and I'm not a bad mother. After that was said, I went through maybe approximately 3 months. The division refused to accept the letter from my doctor and said that they want my doctor to come into court to testify. That was, once he came into court, after that they said that I didn't have food in my house. I provided them with a food shopping receipt that I bought for my house. The caseworker came to my house. She saw that there was food in my house. She documented it. 7 times it was court ordered that the children be returned to me, and they weren't. We had to take them make it emergent twice, and the judge released the kids that day. Subsequently, I had to move again because this apartment had fallen down, and things were not. The apartment was not the greatest shape. During this time, about approximately 9 months later, I helped out a friend of mine who was a victim of domestic violence. I got her into a shelter. I was able to help her somewhat financially, not as much, but I was able to help this woman in need. She was pregnant at the time. That's why I helped her. After that, I decided to, you know, after she had the baby, she was smoking weed while she was pregnant and was kicked out of the shelter ultimately. You can't leave a baby in the street under no circumstances, and regardless if I didn't like the person or not, I took her and the child in. During this time, she was investigated for 2 other possible children that she said that she had, but according to DIFUS, they said that they had no records of these children and alleged that she had 2 other children in Plainfield, New Jersey. However, they were unable to find them, and she denied it. My son, who has an upper respiratory problem when he was born, subsequently, you know, during this time had an upper respiratory problem. I did take him to the hospital multiple times. The hospital said that they called DIFUS on me because I took him to the hospital, and they said that something was wrong with me. However, I think I did the right thing, you know, making sure my son was okay. However, the hospital did call the hotline service, but would not provide any additional information. So, what led to the removal of my children now and possible termination now? Well, somebody called it in while 6 months before this. It was never brought to my attention. Supposedly the call was made in June of 07. It was never brought to my attention until October of 07.